High quality of living, humanitarian policies, and economic prosperity are a few examples of what's so great about the Netherlands. But how do they get those? There's a phrase in the Netherlands, you as a foreigner don't want to be told. Doe normaal. Short for act normal, then you are already crazy enough. Like keep calm and carry on is important to Brits, so doe normaal is important to Nederlanders. You may have been told to behave as a child, but there's a Dutch word for that too. When was the last time you, as an adult, were told to behave? Doe normaal is a commonly spoken phrase, because to a Nederlander, it means something different from what you and I think it means. Take transportation as an example. Normal doesn't mean average. Bike infrastructure is touted enough, and during my month-long stay, I rode a bike once. Seeing the country from a walking perspective gave me the time to find its flaws. Even in areas mainly for cars, it's still good. Not once was I forced to walk in the road or take an obscure path around a barrier. It seemed there was always a crosswalk with an eyesight. For longer distances, I commonly used public transport. The variety of options and nuances of each one make the system complex, but like a cake, its complexity is what makes it good. There are rules you have to follow when using public transport. First, you need to activate the doors. They don't open up automatically, so when you stand there wondering, when is it going to open? Press the nearby button. Second, you need to scan in and out, or you'll find the ride costs more than it was worth. The app that shows you how to get around is 9292. Tickets can be bought on the app, but do yourself a favor and buy the OV chip card. It can be embarrassing not knowing how the QR code scanner works, and I never found out how the app works for buses. While living in Delft, it was as simple as putting in which location I wanted within Google Maps, then going to the platform instructed. I went as far as Groningen to see how different the cities can be. Remember, doe normal is short for act normal, and you're already crazy enough. Dr. Seuss would have been happy to write about the towns. Groningen is the story of a regular Dutch city with regular Dutch buildings along regular Dutch canals. It even has a regular Dutch cathedral. In this story, it's being outclassed by its modern-day equivalent. The cathedral thinks the modern building is ugly and has no place in its town. But the modern building calmly does normal. While the angry one acts out, the calm one makes more progress. One day, the story may end with both living in harmony, but until then, visit the public forum for the best view of Groningen. Then, on the inside, relax at one of its many libraries, visit a museum, or maybe try out the latest VR technology. Public forums like the one in Groningen are modern-day churches, for they are a symbol of hope that the future can be better. While Groningen has one outstanding building, Rotterdam is filled with them. Dr. Seuss would smile upon stepping out of its central station, because the view can best be described as trippy. The buildings in this area are so futuristic you're left wondering, where are the flying cars? Well, there are none, because when public transport is good, there's no need for them. In fact, there are barely any cars at all. When you see plans to modernize cities, it's hard to imagine those drawings actually being done. In Rotterdam, those plans are reality. The city feels young and hungry. It does normal with its own spin on crazy. Take their Memorial Day. When you think of historic holidays, it's normal to imagine parades and maybe a small carnival. But this is the Netherlands, and normal has a different meaning. Instead, there's a massive festival free to the public. Despite it being a workday, it's filled to the brim with partygoers. It's gatherings like this that the energy of the city is on full display. That level of partying is nothing compared to what Netherlands celebrate as King's Day. Even in the little town of Delft, the streets were packed. If you're looking for a place to stay, Delft is the place. It's a college town, so it feels energetic despite its historic atmosphere. Combined with its modern train station and public transport line, it's like watching a suit of armor walk around thanks to a robotic heart and AI mind. The beauty of the city is where it really shines. Take your image of Amsterdam, then downsize it, and go back a few hundred years. Still based on canals and tall buildings, you wouldn't notice the difference until you pulled up a map and noticed it's a much more manageable size. My favorite part was strolling around the neighborhoods and appreciating everyone's gardens. With a little bit of space, they make living works of art. The mastery of nature doesn't stop there. You've heard about reclaiming land with windmills, but you haven't heard about the new ones. Like giant guardians forming up to brace against the storm to end all storms. These testaments to the will of the Nederlanders is a formal acceptance of what is to come. It's not just the wind and rain that's being prepared for, it's land as well. Never will you see a larger area dedicated to greenhouses than in the Netherlands. End to end, the area takes 20 minutes to drive through. used for flowers now, but in the future, a likely source of food. Because the care Netherlanders have for one another, and even foreigners, isn't normal. At least, not in my experience. I make content about coworks not just because it's fun and educational, but because they address the most pressing issues nomads have. Lack of connection leads to the problems I hear so often about. Being part of a cowork doesn't magically mean you're connected, but it's your best chance. What touched me most during my stay in the Netherlands were the lunches I had with others. As an introverted workaholic, I habitually close myself off. Making connections isn't something I actively seek. I actively put myself in situations where it's likely to happen, then let things grow from there. The discount lunches Vac Workhouse provided were the perfect garden bed. I know for those I talked with, social lunches like that were normal. But the quality of connection I had during those times was special. One data point is an enigma, but two is a trend. It wasn't just the cowork I found caring people, but on the internet too. After posting on Reddit, a gentleman reached out and offered to show me around. Not for money, notoriety, or even to make his country look good. I mean, this channel is too small for that. But because he wanted to. As a result, I got to spend time with a normal Nederlander. And you've heard me say it countless times now, but there's nothing normal about them. Taking an entire Saturday to hang out with someone from the internet, you're special. I know when a Nederlander hears be normal, they think of it as behave. But behaving means accepting mediocrity. It means doing what others think is right. It means keeping your head down. What I saw was overachievement. I saw a society doing what was truly right, regardless of what others think. I experienced people being genuinely human, even when that meant sticking their head out. It's my belief when a Netherlander hears be normal, they know it as something more.